Hello and welcome to Farmspace. I'm here at Jones Machines, talking to Willie Jones today. Well, he's actually busy here with something in a bag. Let me show you here, but it's really awesome. If you're in any way involved in the maize food chain, check this out. Willie, how are you doing?
Oh, Andre, good and yourself?
No, good. Now tell me a little bit, what are you busy with here?
I'm checking the quality. This is yellow maize. Remember in the 80s when there was a shortage of maize, we used yellow maize instead of white maize. So I'm just tasting it because yellow maize is cheaper than white maize.
So this is in essence maize meal that I can use for cooking and whatever, but it's just yellow now.
And it's coarse, so it's got a particle size, the same consistency as maize meal. Now, basically what we're doing is, with this new fancy screens of ours. Remember the other time we did a video on the screen, on the square screen? We estimated between 10 and 50% increase.
Yeah.
Boy, was we wrong. We actually got an increase of 62% on
62%
on milling capacity, and the product actually comes out finer.
And and this actually led to what you actually can
yeah, because if I grind maize through the round screen, we get a lot of fine product. So what we're doing now is let me show you here. In order for one to do maize, don't look at the quality of the maize now. This is all we can get before harvesting. So one wettens the maize in order to get the skin loose.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we've done is on our standard crusher mill, we've changed the screen configuration. So we've made the screen into a slot sitting at 45 degrees. So what it's doing now is it rubs the maize against each other so to loosen the chop. So then we go through the aspirator. So then we take out the chop.
So the chop is taken out from the maize mill.
Taken out. So then we go through our standard aspirated hammer mill, which we've got a square screen on the inside. So instead of taking the very fine product that normally is in this machine going back, what we do is that very fine product, we're taking it out of the maize meal, because in a sense it's the germ meal.
Yeah.
So we're taking out the germ meal on that side, and then turbo sifter as usual. The turbo sifter sub 1 millimeter, take out the maize meal. So obviously, I don't think it's the right product here, because most of the germ should have been taken out there. But let's say if there's any germ here, it goes to a second aspirator.
Yes.
And I know the sample is correct, because here we get the excess germ meal and chop, and on this side the crushed maize is going back to regrind it, and so you get very little dust. And what we're doing is we're just going to pelletize.
Yeah, so just put that into the pelletizer,
and the guy's going to sell it off as chicken feet or chick or anything else. So the value chain is more, because we don't just get out the chop, which they can't use, because it's much drier than an ordinary maize process. So that chop can be directly pelletized as of here. I would like showing you there how we're going to pelletize.
Awesome, and I just want to get back to, and the end of this process is, before we get to the pelletizing, that's basically this maize meal that we've got. Okay, Willie, so after we're done with all getting everything sorted and so forth, you bring the chop here.
The chop with the germ meal comes towards this side. Now what we suggest is you add a tad of molasses meal or molasses, because remember, your germ meal it's got a lot of oil. So, and the chop itself is a fiber. So that's difficult to bind. And you haven't got enough starch to do the binding. I want to just show to you and explain to you. If we take the maize and we add a bit of moisture, this is the same maize which we've added at the milling plant at the back.
Yeah.
When I add these maize to the pellet machine, 4.5 millimeter screen, it makes a very hard pellet. Remember, it's not been ground, it's just maize like this, which went through the pellet process.
Yep.
Now this actually is cooked maize. So the process is glutenization. It's basically making millipap. So when you take the wheat bran, it's got less, there's very little maize and obviously the germ meal.
Yep.
So then one would get pellets which looks like these. So the brown color is due to the molasses, and this is the way the pellets will look like. So now one would save on bulk density, and because of the heat in the pellet machine, you're losing a lot of moisture. So this can be stored for longer times on end. And I believe one can feed this to chickens and ruminants and everything. So on storage wise, the pelletization of chop, especially for transport, make it very, very attractive.
And so basically this is just quickly to explain to people that haven't seen these machines yet.
Sorry,
so basically they come in here.
You're chucking your mash at this side. Obviously one wouldn't do maize as I did just now. It just was for demo. You can do roughage, I can do cotton waste, any type of product like wood chips. On our channel, one can look. So you chuck it in here. We've got a stirrer. Sorry, the power is not off. So the bell takes it on a variable speed drive.
Yep.
Pass the magnet on top. We've got a very sturdy magnet. So nothing drops down here. If I can just find a bolt, let's take a... If something goes into your machine, the magnet will take it out. Then it drops into the pellet machine. Your die is turning, the rollers are stationary, and you set them from the side.
Yeah.
Pellets comes out here. We've got a cutter. Always use a piece of wood if you want to scratch in here, because you're going to try and do it. And then pellets come out on this side.
And that's it, and then it goes into the cooler.
And it goes to the cooler. It's a counterflow cooler, and at the bottom you bag off. Now, this machine can do, I would use this machine doing roughage, but people in Zambia and Zimbabwe has been using it for the ease of running it, because you can look into the machine. So normally when you do chicken feed, Andre, you will be using the
So when you do the fine stuff, you actually use machine like this.
What you mean by fine stuff is when mostly chicken feeds. Same principle, adds the stuff at the back. We put some steam in order to wetten the product. Let's call it moisten the product, and to up the temperature so you can get glutenization. So then one can imagine the difficulty of running a machine on this if only you got the amp meter to show you what is the current state of the machine.
Yeah.
So therefore that machine, one would appreciate the fact, because you can't see in here, that machine will run much better in Africa. And
it's a lot easier to operate.
It's a lot easier to operate. This machine has got a fancy little holder that sits on here, and one adjusts the pellet size like this. On that machine, there's a little cutter that needs to be moved up and down. But one can see the size of the throat of the machine. This is about the throat size. So therefore, one can't do roughage with fibers, I would say, longer than this. So generally, on this machine, generally on a round die, one would grind the product as, let's say you want, this is like a 4.5 millimeter die. So in order to do a kind of sheep feed, One would do a 6 millimeters, so then one would grind the lucerne 6 or 8 millimeters when one would use a round die.
You're putting in the meal in there, and then
you put the meal at the back, and the whole, what do you call it, ration mixed at the back through the machine and then palletized. That machine is much cheaper and obviously much. If I say cheaper, I don't mean less, not that same quality. Both machines are sturdy. This one is only more expensive because there's more machining to it than on the other machine.
So you guys are going to be at Nampo. Where exactly?
Andre, if you go down south towards Bothaville, you go into the south gate. And then from the south gate, you just stroll along. On the left-hand side, you'll see the huge sign with the solar panel. It's written Jones Masjiene. That's the Afrikaans for machines in English. So it wouldn't say Jones Machines, it would say Jones Masjiene. We will be there, blue, and the cream and blue machines will find us there.
Awesome. Willie, thank you very much.
Thanks, Andre, for your time.
So that's Willie Jones from Jones Machines. So, okay, it's awesome to see how they're able to basically pellets anything. So if you're going to Nampo, make sure that you go and pay them a visit. They're also always busy there doing demos and so forth. So you're into animal feed, you must not miss that. So it's here from Farmspace. Till next time. Cheers.